Hey, welcome to another video. So today we're going to be going into the RIOT of King's Landing. But before we begin, please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, join the Sith Citadel Discord, links in the description, and consider becoming a join member or sending a super thanks if you wish to further support the channel. Otherwise, let's jump straight into it. The RIOT of King's Landing took place during the Dance of the Dragons, as Queen Rhaenyra Targaryen was losing her grip on the Iron Throne, and the citizens of King's Landing were living in paranoia and terror of the coming of the army and dragons of the Greens. When the people of King's Landing learned of the slaughter during the First Battle of Tumbleton, terror began to hold grip in the city, as the citizens became convinced that their city would burn once the Hightower army arrived. A man known only as the Shepherd began preaching against the Targaryens and their dragons on Cobbler's Square, claiming that only by cleansing King's Landing of the dragons and their masters could the Seven Kingdoms avoid a doom similar to that of Valyria. Following the betrayal of Hugh Hammer and Ulf White during the First Battle of Tumbleton, Queen Rhaenyra Targaryen became convinced that none of the dragon seeds could be trusted. In King's Landing, she ordered the arrest of Sir Adam Velaryon, the legitimized heir of Lord Corlys Velaryon, Rhaenyra's Hand of the Queen. Corlys warned Adam, who fled from the dragon pit on his dragon Seasmoke. For aiding Adam in escape, Corlys was arrested and placed in the Black Cells. As a result, the Velaryon forces, which made up more than half of Rhaenyra's army, began to abandon her cause. Some joined the Shepherd, others returned to Driftmark. Those who remained could no longer be trusted. Sir Denys Woodwright and Sir Thorn True, two of Corlys' sworn swords, attempted to break Corlys out of the dungeons, but were caught and hanged from the walls of the Red Keep. That same day, Queen Helaena Targaryen committed suicide by jumping from her window on top of the spikes that lined the dry moat of Maegor's Holdfast. That night, the small folk of King's Landing began to tell each other that Helaena had been murdered, and placed the blame at the feet of Queen Rhaenyra, insisting she had killed Helaena because Prince Daeron Targaryen and the Hightower army would soon be at the gates. The people whispered that Sir Luther Largent had flung Helaena from her window, on Rhaenyra's order, despite the fact that Largent had been at the barracks of the City Watch of King's Landing at the Gate of the Gods when Helaena had died. According to Grandmaster Munkin, it was the Shepherd who spread the tale, although Mushroom believes that the story originated from Lord Larry Strong. The rumor of the beloved Helena's murder was quickly believed by the citizens, who had completely turned against the once beloved Rhaenyra, and who were still mindful of the terrible murders of Helena's sons Jaehaerys and Maelor. The night following Helaena Targaryen's death, King's Landing rose into riot. The riots began in Flea Bottom as men and women poured from the wine sinks, pot shops, and rat pits, by the hundreds and then the thousands, drunk, angry, and afraid. They called for justice for the murders of Helaena, Jaehaerys, and Maelor. Wagons were overturned and shops and warehouses were looted. No one was spared. Lady Darla Deddings saw her brother Davos stabbed through the eye when he tried to defend her from drunken rapists. The rioters also attacked the manse of Lord Bartimus Seldegar, killing all and capturing Lord Bartimus, who was bound to a post and tortured until he revealed the location of his wealth. Wat the Tanner next declared that Lord Bartimus had failed to pay his cock tax and gelded him. Sailors unable to return to their ships attacked the river gate. Sir Luther Largent and 400 gold cloaks eventually dispersed them, but not before the gate itself had been hacked into pieces. 100 men died during or as a result from the battle, 25 of them men from the City Watch. Sir Luther Largent led 500 gold cloaks to Cobbler's Square, where the Shepherd preached that the stranger was coming. Although Largent declared to the crowd that they only wanted the Shepherd, the crowd of 10,000 people was too thick to disperse. During the chaotic battle that followed, the Shepherd fled, while Largent and his men were slaughtered by the crowds. According to Septon Eustace, the Shepherd controlled half the city that night, while Wat the Tanner gathered hundreds of men around him. King Gaemon Pelahair was raised up in a brothel on the Street of Silk, on account of being a bastard son of King Aegon II. The hedge knight Perkin the Flea crowned his squire Trystane, claiming he was the bastard son of King Viserys I. Sir Perkin began to dub every man who flocked to Trystane's banner, causing hundreds of gutter knights to join their cause. As dawn broke over the city, fires were burning everywhere. Men in Flea Bottom were breaking into shops and homes, attacking everyone they happened to encounter. The remaining gold cloaks had retreated to their barracks. But as the night ended, those stationed at the Old Gate and the Dragon Gate marched forth under the command of Sir Balon Birch, and Sir Garth the Harelip to restore order to the streets north and east of the Hill of Rhaenys. Sir Medric Manderley led 100 men from White Harbor to the area northeast of Aegon's High Hill, down to the Iron Gate, while Sir Torrin Manderley led his men down the Hook, and Sir Laurent Marbrand, the Lord Commander of the Queen's Guard, led 100 knights and men-at-arms into Flea Bottom. Torrin lost a quarter of his men in a struggle to return to the Red Keep, while most of Laurent's men were killed. Only 16 of them returned, including Sir Glendon Good, who brought back the body of Sir Laurent, who had already been killed. Meanwhile, Fishmonger's Square and River Row were taken over by Sir Perkin's men, while King Tristan's banner flew above the battlements of the River Gate, where the captain and 3 of the sergeants of the gate had been hung from the gatehouse. Command of the City Watch was given to Sir Balin Birch. Sir Glendon Good was named Lord Commander of the Queen's Guard, and ravens were sent to Winterfell and the Eyrie. As the sun went down, even more rioters than the night before poured out into the streets. Sir Perkin led his gutter knights from the river gate down to the river front, while Wat the Tanner led his men against the Gate of the Gods. The garrison at the latter gate were weakened from the day before and quickly defeated. Wat, still displaying Lord Bartimos' Severus head, led his men on the Kingsroad out of the city. Within an hour, 2 other gates were opened, the King's Gate, whose defenders had fled, and the Lion Gate, whose defenders had joined the mob. At the same time, the shepherd appeared once again at Cobbler's Square, and called upon a large crowd to kill the dragons in the dragon pit. The crowds responded and stormed the dragon pit, resulting in the deaths of the 4 dragons housed within, as well as the death of Syrax, Rhaenyra's dragon, after her son Joffrey Velaryon stole the dragon in an attempt to reach the dragon pit himself. Joffrey was thrown off the dragon's back and died. Afterwards, his body was returned to the Red Keep by the 7 who were sent forth to bring Joffrey back to safety. Rhaenyra Targaryen's loyalists agreed that the city was lost to them, and convinced her to abandon King's Landing. Rhaenyra, Prince Aegon, and a few loyalists slipped from the city the next morning through the Dragon Gate, intent on reaching Duskendale. King's Landing descended into anarchy, a chaotic period known as the Moon of the Three Kings, or the Moon of Madness. Different factions divided up sections of the city. Sir Perkin and King Trystane ruled the Red Keep, the Shepherd ruled from the Dragon Pit, and Gaemon Pelahare's followers held Visenya's Hill. The Moon of the Three Kings was eventually brought to an end by Lord Barros Baratheon, who marched on King's Landing. After much troubles and efforts, Rhaenyra and her son eventually reached Dragonstone, where they discovered the castle had previously fallen to King Aegon and his supporters. Rhaenyra was fed by Aegon to his dragon Sunfire, as her son Aegon the Younger looked on. King Aegon II subsequently had Prince Aegon chained and brought to the dungeons. So what did you guys think of the riot of King's Landing? Please let me know in the comments down below. If you haven't already, please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, join the Sith Citadel Discord, links in the description, and consider becoming a join member or sending a super thanks if you wish to further support the channel. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video.